Hello, I'm Brent Gardner, and this is the NRA-ILA Grassroots News Minute for Friday, June 11th. Here with today's first story is correspondent Krista Cupp.
Thanks, Brent. Last week, NRA filed suit against the Wilmington, Delaware Housing Authority in the case Jane Doe v. Wilmington Housing Authority. The case centers around the WHA's unconstitutional gun ban among its tenants, which denies these public housing residents their Second Amendment rights. Thousands of Delaware's most vulnerable residents live in some of the state's most dangerous neighborhoods and have been prohibited from possessing firearms to defend themselves from the drug dealers and criminals who infest their communities. Those who reside on WHA properties risk being evicted should they exercise their Second Amendment freedoms and violate the ban, which for many families would mean living on the streets. This restriction is unconstitutional, and NRA has long fought this battle both in the courts and in legislatures across the country, from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. We will continue to protect citizens' right to self-defense and keep you updated on the progress of this case. And now, back to you, Brent.
Thanks, Krista. Over the last few months, NRA members in the armed forces have called NRA's attention to the fact that certain military base commanders, exercising arbitrary authority, have issued orders violating military personnel's Second Amendment rights. We've heard of regulations that require the registration of soldiers' privately owned firearms kept off base and the prohibition of soldiers who have firearm carrying permits from carrying firearms for protection off base as well. Following the multiple shooting on Fort Hood last year, the Department of Defense concurrently began working on a regulation that, among other things, would not only require all military commanders to require their troops to register privately owned firearms kept off base, but also authorize commanders to require troops living off base to keep privately owned firearms and ammunition locked in separate containers. To ensure that the rights of military personnel are no longer violated, U.S. Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma recently introduced an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act. This important amendment would nullify existing military orders and regulations that violate certain Second Amendment rights of military and civilian DoD personnel and also preempt other orders and regulations of the sort. For more information on this legislation, as well as up-to-date fact sheets and alerts for your state, please visit our website at www.nraila.org.